Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Great Black Speakers Podcast, where we connect through conversation. I am your host, Lawrence Watkins. I am the founder and CEO of Great Black Speakers. I'm also the president and chief operating officer of the Black Business School. So today, we're connecting you with a very special guest, my good friend Amanda Spann. Amanda is a app entrepreneur and consultant, and is the founder of the App Accelerator Program, which is an online and live coaching program to help non-technical founders or entrepreneurs build their first apps. So today we're talking all about how to start a tech company even if you don't have any technical expertise. So Amanda, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. I am well fed, stuffed from yesterday, excited about the leftovers, and ready to talk to some non-technical future founders.
Yeah, and I think this is an awesome topic because I know a lot of people that I talk to think that you have to have like this strong technical background to start a tech company. But when you look at a lot of the CEOs that are out there right now, a lot of them don't have any type of technical expertise. And I know you have this program coming out, or that's already out, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about just this concept of starting a tech company without this expertise that most people think that they need. So, but before we get into that, though, can you tell the audience a little bit more about what you currently do and how you've gotten to this point in your career?
Yeah.
Oh, can you guys hear Amanda? Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I spend a lot of time working on that. On the other side of things, I consult non-technical entrepreneurs and those who are interested in building products and building their first apps on how to get that started. The app is
Uh-oh. So, Amanda, I think your sound might be going out a little bit. The viewers say that they cannot hear at this particular moment. Did you guys lose sound on Amanda's end? All
I
right.
think I think I'm
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I think they're losing your sound. So what I'm gonna do, guys, just so you guys can hear better, I think it might be a bandwidth issue. So when Amanda is talking, what I'll do is just turn off my video, so you'll see me disappear for a few minutes or a few seconds, and then just know that I'm still here, though. But then when I have something to say, I'll make sure I show my video again, and that should help with the bandwidth issues. So that's what we'll do. So Amanda, can you restart your statement, please?
Yeah, if it's helpful, I can turn off my video as well. I don't know if that might be useful, but I mean, they've seen me now, so
Yeah,
uh,
let's see if they can see you and hear you. That'll be the most important piece. So go ahead.
yeah. So okay. So again, like I was saying, I am an app entrepreneur. I have my own portfolio of apps. I actually also consult non-technical founders as well as startups who are interested in, improving their business development, marketing efforts, or just growing a product in general. With that, that encompasses a lot. That's one-on-one coaching and consulting, but that's also running the App Accelerator Program. So we just started the program not too long ago, but it was birthed out of the fact that tons of aspiring entrepreneurs contact me on a recurring basis about the fact that they want to build apps, they have great ideas, they're competent and capable in their regular 9 to 5s, but they just don't know where to start with tech. And so, I see, three types of people, those who are kind of paralyzed and just very afraid to start and take that leap because they feel like they don't know enough. The second group are those who are kind of the self-starters who have kind of jumped into the founder seat, but then they've gotten deep into the process and gotten stuck and they don't know where to go. And then the last group are those who have, spent thousands of dollars on an app that they can't use, they can't manage or maintain. And so I kind of help them mitigate that process through my program and through my coaching services.
Got you. So let's talk about how you've gotten to this point in your career, though, because you haven't always been the person that people contacted, about the app ideas and how to build apps, that type of thing. So can you give the audience a little insight into your journey in terms of how you got to where you were before to the point now where you are consulting people on this type of thing? Uh-oh, Amanda, we can't hear you again. So hold on, let's give it a second. Let's see if it comes back.
Publicists for entertainers and athletes. But I always was interested in tech, but I was like a lot. Now I felt like I couldn't be involved in the space if I wasn't coding myself. But then I realized there were a lot of synergies and parallels with my existing skill set. And so I decided to kind of take the leap and I started self-educating myself day in and night and, just asking people, could I work for them for free for a while? Ended up eventually getting good enough to start picking up some contracts in the space. So I work for and with a number of companies that are doing really well now, like Hinge, the dating app, another company, Snob Swap, which is now Lapre, and work with them for a while. Then I decided, I realized there was a larger problem there with, again, with founders not being able to create and build their products. So I co-founded a hackathon series to help Black entrepreneurs build and code their products in 24-hour hacks. So we would pair them with minority developers and minority business consultants, and we would actually help them not only build out their business model, but their product themselves. So actually the winner of our first hackathon went on to complete Y Combinator. So that was kind of a really exciting full circle moment for us. After that, I actually launched an accelerator for startups in Africa and the African diaspora. So, managing business development and marketing element of things and helping those founders get the resources they need, whether they were on the continent or building here domestically for the continent of Africa or for diaspora communities here domestically or in Europe or even in South America. And then I went to Techstars and helped them with their accelerator in Chicago. So I've definitely, kind of dedicated my life to, or at least the last decade of my life, to helping founders. And that's taught me a lot along the way, just from managing ecosystems and managing programs for them, as well as building out products myself. And, the experience is the best teacher. If you were to ask an entrepreneur what's the best way to learn about business or to learn about building a company, it's just to build one. And so, a big part of why I decided to launch this program is because there really was no one to help me when I got started with building apps, building out some of these programs. They were very green, they were very new, and I was very new. And so, I understand how hard it is and how difficult it is to compose all the things you need together and to kind of build a framework for yourself to be successful. And so I wanted to help other entrepreneurs who are in my, same place kind of get to the next level. And so I decided to assemble this framework for them so that they could learn in a more seamless and simple, systematic way about what this process is like.
Got you. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a lot of experience in tech and in so many different types of roles. So I think my next two questions is the first question is like, why tech? Why do you think that more Black people, even if they don't have technical background and technical expertise, need to be involved with starting tech ventures and tech companies? And then also, just what has your previous experience taught you in the last 10 years working in these different roles? What has it taught you about the technology industry and how to build technology companies in general?
Yeah, so I mean, I always had an interest in tech.
Uh-oh, Amanda, I think we may have
And
lost you again. Can you guys hear Amanda? All
can
right, sorry. Start
you
off with
hear
the
me?
same. Yeah, I think we can hear you now. So if you
Yeah,
can start off
yeah.
answering that question again, that'd be great.
No worries. So I always was interested in tech, but I felt like I couldn't do it because I wasn't coding myself. And it really kept me from being in a space, a lot earlier than I could have been. And I think a big part of the problem with, just African Americans not necessarily being involved with tech is just our own mental roadblock and believing that we either don't belong there somehow, we don't have the skill set, or we don't have the transferable skills to break into tech. And 9 times out of 10 we do, right? I think the biggest things people have to start thinking about is that, tech businesses are just businesses. They just happen to be tech enabled. Um, a sales team, right? These are skills that you already have and you may be using on your existing jobs. You just need to transfer over. So that was when I got past that and realized, the skills that I have as a publicist and a person who, does management, does events, does, project management. I realized that these skills are all valuable in the tech space. And when you have a room full of people or people who are building products who are just focused on the technical side, you need someone to supplement those experiences with more softer skills to round out the team and to ultimately get the product to the finish line. And so, once I got over that middle hurdle, it really helped a lot. I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the past decade is that you just have to start. I think, no one knows it all. And I've been, surprised that, some of the people who I've met who I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are at the top of their game. Everyone is a little jealous of someone. Everyone wishes they had a different skill set than they did. But you kind of have to get out of your own way and just kind of take the leap into it and kind of learn things along the way and pull the resources in the community around you that will help you succeed. No one has it all. No, even, Elon Musk, looked at his club in this past week. He still came out on top, but, he's, regarded as one of the top, thought leaders in the tech space, in the futurist space. But even he made a mistake this week. So, I think people just really have to just start seeing themselves as tech entrepreneurs. And people always talk about if tech has a diversity problem. I don't think it does. Like, African Americans, we over index on tech. We just don't produce tech as much. And a big part of that is, not always having equitable access to education. And the other part of us is believing that we may not fit there, right? So once we can get past that ourselves and just start creating and find ways to create, as well as finding, accessible and affordable education outlets that teach us the skills that, we may be insecure about or don't quite have yet. I think that's the great equalizer.
Got you. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point in regards to just these other tech founders that are out here who don't really have technical expertise, technical backgrounds, and just go at it and be self-taught like you are, and just learn what they need to learn to push forward. And I want to talk about that when we get back in regards to just the first steps that people need to take when they are looking to start a tech type of company. But before we do that, just want to remind everyone that I'm here with Amanda Spann. Amanda is an app entrepreneur and consultant. She is the founder of the App Accelerator Program, which is an online and live coaching program to help non-technical entrepreneurs build their first apps. And today we're talking about how to start a tech company, even if you don't have any technical expertise. So if you guys like this video, please go ahead and show us some love by pressing the thumbs up button. Please make sure that you share to our or share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So Amanda, let's talk about that a little bit more then, in terms of, let's get into the how-to a little bit for those who are watching. If you are looking to start let's say you're looking to start a tech company from two different angles. You have an idea and you don't have an idea, but this is like a space that may interest you. Like, where should someone start if they just know they want to be in the tech space?
So I think the best starting point is to just take inventory of your existing skills, right? So a lot of people ask me, well, I want to be in development tech. Do I need to go to a coding camp? And I would never discourage someone from building up their skill set or expanding their skill set. I think coding is a great skill set to have, but you also have to think about, even if I learn how to code, do I know how to apply these skills in a way that makes sense for the business that I want to create? So take inventory of your existing skills and realize and think about strategically about how you could use these skills in the confines of an existing tech company, and maybe start getting some, start applying for jobs there. Make the leap over to a startup and see what it's actually like to build and run one. You might find that, maybe working in a startup is better for you, or alternatively, maybe you are more prepared than you think to be in the founder seat. So I think the first thing is, take inventory of your skills and start doing research on the industries you want. Every article that you can find, every, white paper that you can find. If there are founders who work in the space, in a similar space to you that you want to operate in, ask them, can you shadow them, right? People would love some free help. So I think, start where you are and kind of use what you have and what's around you to kind of get the start you need before you start, taking new classes. If you do feel like you have a huge skills gap that you don't, you won't be able to, transition in, there are some great free online courses that are great starting points before you start spending, $12,000 to $15,000 on a coding school or a camp.
Got you. And this is a good point to, or I guess a good point of the interview to bring up the concept of, I guess, finding a co-founder versus outsourcing your first round of development to, let's say, like what they call a development shop. So outsourced web developers that you hire to build out your idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching a video clip this morning from Michael Siebel, who runs Y Combinator, I believe, a black man who actually runs Y Combinator, which is one of the largest incubators that are out there, tech incubators that are out there. And he was talking about how he says that most people who are going that route in tech, in terms of wanting to raise a whole bunch of capital and get investors and backers, that type of thing, he recommends that those individuals, who may be non-technical, that they find a CTO, or a chief technology officer. They find a technical co-founder to bring onto the team, right? Now, he laid out the pros and cons of that. But what are your thoughts on that in terms of trying to, I guess, outsource development to a third-party, I guess, company versus finding a partner that's technical enabled? Versus, I guess, a third option would be you learning how to code yourself. Like, how do you make the difference between those three in terms of the recommendations you give your clients?
Yeah, so it really depends on, how hands-on you want to be and how savvy you are. There are some people who, tech, building and coding, it's just not for them, right? Like maybe they are very right brain, maybe they're super creative, and maybe they don't feel as analytical, or, maybe they don't feel like they have the skill sets, or maybe there really is a mental block there where they feel like they can't code. And so, so oftentimes people are just busy. Like, let's remove the whole mental block thing. Sometimes people are sincerely busy. I mean, you're a doctor, a lawyer, like some of my participants are in the program. You have very, very little time, but you might have brilliant ideas, but very little time to learn these new skill sets and to take on new classes and workshops and things like that. So that could be a challenge for a lot of people. Like I said, I never discourage people from learning how to code, but you have to think about it in context, and you have to think about, this is a time commitment if you're actually going to make this work. In regards to the former two, I think there are a few different things that you consider. One, finding a good co-founder takes a while. It does, really, because you got to think about a co-founder in the confines of, this is your business partner. This is your business spouse, right? They are going to be with you through everything, and you're giving up a considerable portion of your company for that. I think co-founders are great. I have several co-founders, and honestly, we share the workload in so many different capacities. But I very, very much lucked up in having great, reliable co-founders. In the past, I've had not so great, reliable co-founders. I've had people bail on me, just ghost me outright, when we're in the midst of building this big company together. And so, you have to realize it could be a very fragile thing, and it could be a very
Actually, Amanda, hold on 1 second. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Sorry, you sound went out for a second, but it usually comes right back. Uh-oh. I don't know if she can hear me or not. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you're back. All right, cool. You're back now. I didn't want you to keep talking. Yeah, I didn't want you to keep talking.
I caught your fingers. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. So you faded out when you said you'd had people flake on you with technical co-founders.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll start from there.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of, technical co-founders flake on me. They've ghosted me. And sometimes, I would assume that it's not all personal, but sometimes, maybe we, didn't have the best working relationship. Sometimes it might have been because of life circumstances. They had a baby, they got married, the way they lived their lives changed, or maybe they wanted something different from themselves. So it can be very much a fragile relationship, just like any other relationship. So that's something to think about, and finding that person who's the great complement to your skill set and who is actually passionate about the project takes a while. I strongly encourage people to outsource their projects, and I do this because a number of different reasons. What I've noticed from a lot of aspiring founders is a lot of them believe that their idea is so great that they're going to get funding ahead of building the product. And that may be true. Maybe you have a network of high net worth individuals who are going to fund you. Maybe you have access to investors who just believe in you so strongly that they would invest without a product. But for most people, that is not the case. Most investors want to see traction, especially if you're pitching to venture capitalists. They're going to want to see the potential for 10x returns. And if you don't actually have a product yet, you don't have customers, you're not making revenue, it's going to be very hard for you to prove that. I think the second case for outsourcing is the fact that you actually, want to have some degree of owner. Well, not some degrees. You want to have total ownership over your product. And I think it is better to start building like an MVP or a minimum viable product, the leanest version of your product available, just a tester product that can prove your theory right, and to actually have something up and running, so that one, you can prove to your co-founder that you're serious, right? That you're very serious about that idea, and that you've taken steps or strides. You just need them to kind of help you on the path. And then secondly, if you are thinking about raising, that you have an actual product that you could prove has some traction and is worthwhile. So I think
Hold on. Oh, you faded out. Amanda, are you there? Hey, Amanda, are you there? Oh, there you go. I think you're back now.
You lost me again. Oh man.
I know. Yeah. We're gonna do this again, man. It doesn't matter, at this point. Yeah. Thanks for you all, the 58 people who are watching right now, for working through these technical difficulties with us. I think are you at your parents' house? I see
I am. I'm at my parents' house.
And that's what it is.
It is. My Wi-Fi is so bad.
You know how I know. You know how I know? I see the sweet tea, the sweet tea jug in the background. But so ain't no 30-something gonna have a sweet tea jug just out like that.
But I'm at my parents' house, and the Wi-Fi is so spotty. I've been like all over the house, like we're like sitting in little corners and stuff, trying to find the best Wi-Fi.
That's all right. In your old country home, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think you faded out in terms of talking about worthwhile. That's like the last thing that I heard. But yeah, can you You know what? We'll just go on to the next question, unless you remember.
I can kind of reiterate. Like I think
Okay, you go ahead and reiterate. Yeah, go ahead and reiterate. Yep.
So what I was just saying is that, you know, a lot of people kind of debate whether they should do non-tech, they should get a co-founder or whether they should outsource. I strongly encourage people to outsource. And I say this because it takes a while to find a co-founder, especially a reliable one. It's better to kind of just bet on yourself, because not only if you do continue to look for a co-founder, your co-founder will take you seriously. Your investors will take you seriously, because now you actually have a product. You were willing to invest in yourself first before anyone else was. And you actually may have a product that starts to have traction. And that's something an investor is going to be looking for if you're going to start raising capital.
Got you. And actually, I have a couple questions that I want to talk to you about when we come back from our quick break. But I really want to know, what if you don't want to build $1 billion company like what's always promoted in Silicon Valley and New York City and Austin, Texas, and those places like that? And then I guess Colorado, Boulder, Denver, Colorado is one of the new hotspots now. And then also I want to talk about some of the skills that you need to be a successful founder in tech, right? In terms of, I guess, tangible skill sets, and then I guess the intangibles that may be necessary too. But before we get to that, I'm here with Amanda Spann. Just want to remind everybody, she is an app entrepreneur and consultant. She is the founder of the App Accelerator Program, which is an online and live coaching program to help non-technical entrepreneurs build their first apps. Today we're talking about how to start a tech company, even if you don't have any technical expertise. So if you guys are feeling this content, even with some of the technical difficulties, please go ahead and show us some love by pressing the thumbs up button. The more love that you show us, the more love that YouTube algorithm shows us as well. So more and more people can see this video. And in addition to that, please make sure that you share this video with friends and family who may benefit, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right. So Amanda, I want to ask you about not building $1 billion company as a tech founder. Like, people think it's all or nothing, right? So you're either not in technology or you're striving to build this, high venture or this venture-backed high growth startup in the technology industry, where other people like, what's his name? Andrew Welling or Rob Welling, Rob Welling of Startups for the Rest of Us. And he has, like a microcon startup conference about building like tech companies that, make a good lifestyle living instead of trying to build the next $1 billion tech startup. Right. In general, what are your thoughts on that in terms of just a different paths that people can take? I guess that's my question then. What are the different paths that people can take as they are thinking about getting into tech in terms of growth paths? And what would you recommend for different types of people?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to try stopping my video as well, just because I think that will help with the connection problems. We'll see. We're just kind of trying everything here, but I'm going to turn it off for a second and we'll take it from there. But basically, I would say that there are so many different paths of tech. I think people have to keep themselves open and kind of reimagine what it looks like to be a tech founder, or just be involved in tech in general. One, there are tons of different tech companies that you could be working for. Some are startups, some are much more established and further along. Google is still a tech company, and they have tons of different roles for all different types of people. Secondly, I think, and this is something that I challenge even outside of tech, is that, you don't have to necessarily be $1 billion founder to be a great entrepreneur. I think the person who is selling hot dogs on the street at a football game is just as much an entrepreneur as Mark Zuckerberg. They are running a business and they're solving a problem. And so I think there is, I think we just kind of need to abandon the notion that a tech entrepreneur looks, acts, or operates just one type of business. Third, I think there's tons of opportunities to, integrate technology into your existing businesses, where you can, make your companies more tech enabled and run them in a more automated and streamlined way. I think that kind of digs into the question, but yeah, like I said, I think it really frustrates me honestly that people think of tech entrepreneurship and success in tech entrepreneurship in one way. There are a lot of people out here who are running very, very small companies, with teams of, or like as solo founders, or even with teams of just 2 or 3 who are making millions and millions of dollars, who will never be regarded as unicorns, but, have made enough to retire in a few months or a few years. And I think we really need to kind of just rewrite our definitions of success and really make it about us as opposed to, what we think will be, will write in the headlines. And this is something I've kind of struggled with myself. I think when I first started off in tech, I thought, I wanted to be a unicorn founder. But as I, learn more about myself as just a person, I realized, Amanda, you don't want that. I don't necessarily want to be responsible for, 5,000 employees, right? I want to solve a problem for niche audiences, to add value to this group of people that I care about, to offer products to people and to communities that I am invested in. And I want to make a good living while doing so. And that doesn't necessarily look like, unicorn success. And I also, don't want to live a life where, I'm working around the clock either. Like, I want to run a great automated business that I'm not enslaved to. And I think that's something people have to be honest with themselves about, whether they want that or not, and be, faithful enough and true enough to themselves to honor that feeling.
Yeah, I think that's so true in terms of like, and I think this is just true in life that the better, the more that you know yourself in terms of what it is that you really want. What do you want to have? What do you want to be? And what do you want to do in life? Right. I took that straight from Tim Ferriss of the 4 Hour Work Week, but I think it's just true in terms of prioritizing your life's goals and trying to create systems and products and just pathways for your life that help you achieve those goals is so critically important. Because I realized soon or early on too that I like the role of either solopreneur or building a smaller type of business, let's say under 30 people or 30 employees. That's where I tend to have the most fun and have the most freedom, so that I can still live down here in Medellin, Colombia, instead of being somewhere cold, like I don't know, New York, Chicago, or something, right? Yeah. So I get to be down here and still run my business virtually, right? And I think that's just so important to realize up front. And I think another important thing though is about your skill set and what skills are important for you to thrive, especially if you want to start a tech business. So can you talk about that a little bit in terms of like what are the core skills that are necessary to thrive in a tech related business?
Honestly, I think the biggest skills you need are project management and people management and emotional intelligence. Um, because and people I mean, everything else is figure outable. Like figuring out a product and how to build a product, there's a roadmap for that. There's programs like the App Accelerator. There's all types of courses, learning tutorials. Those things are all automated and streamlined, but no one can teach you how to manage people, right? No one can teach you how to be emotionally intelligent enough to understand what your customers want. And, the only way you do that is by practice and by refinement. Like you kind of have to kind of dig into it and keep practicing it until you kind of refine and hone those skills. I would start with project management just because regardless of whether you have a co-founder, whether you have a tech team or not, you are going to be wearing a lot of hats. And you need to be prepared to wear all of them. In the beginning stages of your businesses, you can't depend on investor. You can't depend solely on your co-founder. You have to wear all of the hats. I would say people management is because regardless of whether you are, you know, running a full team or you're a solo entrepreneur, your company will likely have a touch point with lots of different people, whether that be your customers, whether that be your admins, whether that be your developers, whether that be your team members, whether that be stakeholders and investors who may be interested in partnering or investing in your business. You need to be able to manage all of those relationships seamlessly.
Yep. Yeah. Wait 1 second, Amanda. Sorry. let's let the data catch up a little bit. Are you there? Can you hear me? Oh.
Okay, you're back now.
All right, you're back now. So go ahead. I think you were at the end of your answer though, in terms of making sure the system runs seamlessly in terms of the people and the project management.
Yeah, so I definitely would say that you need great project management skills, you need great people management skills, and you need to be emotionally intelligent, being able to understand what people want, what people need, and to be able to remove your ego from it. I think a lot of founders are so hell bent on believing, oh, this product is going to work, people want it, people want it, people want it, that they're afraid, not even afraid, they're too arrogant to pivot away from their original idea to actually give people what they want and find the right product market fit. When you actually do accomplish product market fit, people are start buying things with, they're seeking your product out, they're buying things and they're advocating to other people about that. And until you actually have that, you likely have not found product market fit yet, and your product is not where it needs to be to service the people that you think you want to service. And so sometimes you kind of have to abandon your original idea and go with different angles to make things work. And that requires, humility, and requires emotional intelligence. It requires just a high level of interpersonal skills that, a lot of people don't invest enough time into refining.
Got you. Yeah, no, Matt, I think you're 100% right about that. It's a lot of times it's those soft skills that separate the winners from the losers, especially as in terms of the marketplace, not as people, but in terms of the market, separates the market winners from the market losers. Are those soft skills like project management, organization, and also like people skills, that type of thing as well. And this leads into I guess a couple of customer questions, but to close this out, Amanda, before we get out of here. The questions that a couple of people had. One is how much does it cost to build an app via a third-party outsourcing company? And then I guess a follow-up question to that would be, do you have like a list of apps that you sponsor or suggest to help non-technical co-founders get started in the tech industry?
Yeah, so about that. So I think it really depends on what you're trying to build. I mean, I've built apps for as little as $500. I have also spent tens of thousands of dollars on apps. I think if you're going to outsource an app, I would be prepared to set aside anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 per app. And that's without me knowing what you're trying to build. I think simple apps that don't require much.
One moment. Hold on. All right, Amanda, are you there? Hey, Amanda, are you there?
I'm there. I'm here.
All right, cool. All right, yep. So we dropped off at three to 5,000 mark. Then you said simple apps that don't require much development, I think you may have said. So
Yeah.
that's where we ended.
Yeah, so again, it can really vary. If I, was to build an app today, and this is without me knowing any of the technical requirements or the features or integrations that might be required for you to build an app, or required for your app rather, I would say put aside 3,000 to 5,000 per app. That's 3,000 to 5,000 for iPhone and 3,000 to 5,000 for Android. But it could be a lot less than that. It could be a lot more expensive. What it really boils down to is one, your functionality requirements, everything you want to incorporate in the app. If you want to build something simple like a calculator, for example, it's not going to cost you $3,000, right? But if you are looking to build something that is enterprise level, something that is robust, that is going to be incorporated across, several different countries and continents and things like that, and across several different workforces, yeah, that might cost you into the hundreds of thousands, right? And so just thinking about that, it also really depends on where you have it built, whether you're having a domestic developer to, build your product. They may be a little bit more expensive than outsourcing to, India or Africa or even a Colombia. So these are just factors and things that you need to think about when you're building, like how complex is an app, and can I just build a leaner version of it, just an MVP or a simple version of the app, so that I don't have to break the bank before I've actually proven that my theory and that my app business model actually works. What was the second question again?
Do you have a list of resources, apps, resources that you would recommend for non-technical founders who want to get started?
I mean, outside of the App Accelerator, I mean, there's tons of tools out there. I think we just
Or you know what, actually, Amanda, maybe this might be a good opportunity for the App Accelerator to put together a list. Maybe like a little short list of like the top 10 apps to get started as a non-technical co-founder or something like that. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. I think, there isn't necessarily apps that can help apps per se, and maybe there probably should be. Maybe that's something I should look into. There isn't necessarily apps that will help non-technical co-founders, but there's a lot of communities online that just provide great educational resources. And it starts with as simple as a Google search, and diving deeper into your industry, because there's going to be information that is just generally relevant to everyone, and there's going to be information that's generally relevant to your industry in particular. I think for our App Accelerator program, what I try to focus on is actually providing insights into the business of apps. One, because a lot of people don't think of apps in the confines of a business. They think of them as just some cool thing that exists on your phone or on your web browser or on your computer. And so breaking down like how apps actually make money, the different business models behind apps, different programming languages that are used to build apps, thinking through your business model and your strategy, helping people navigate app design and breaking it down in systematic processes so that people not only are able to get to the next step of development, but they're also able to think differently about the business that they're building. A lot of my program participants have been sitting on their ideas for years, and some of them are actually kind of deep.
Uh-oh. All right. I think we have like a 10-second delay usually. So let's see if it comes back. All right, Amanda, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, there we go. Yeah. So a lot of your customers have been sitting on their app idea for years.
Yeah. So a lot of my participants have been sitting on their app ideas for years. And what I've noticed is that, people, try to start doing it themselves. They try to figure out this process, and it's just very fragmented, right? So you're doing all these random Google searches, you're writing things down in your notebooks, you're saving things on a Google Drive, and you just don't have it all pieced together in a way that actually is moving you forward. And so that's what the App Accelerator tries to solve for people who, in particular, those who are non-technical, they're, leading in their own industries, but, are kind of overwhelmed by the technical process. So like I said, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have finance professionals who are in our program. And it's just amazing to see, because these people are absolutely brilliant, but, tech can be very isolating, and it can be very, overwhelming when you are first presented with it. So, breaking these processes down into small digestible parts for people so that they can not only understand their business better, but they can understand the practice of building apps better, as well as how to work with developers. So we walk them through their development options. There's more options out there than just outsourcing or coding yourself. There's tons of different options of how you can actually build your product. So we walk them through all of them, as well as the pros and cons, and what are some resources for them to explore. We actually have our own developer directory where we have a community of developers who are eager and anxious and looking for projects to work on. And some of them are even looking to be co-founders of the projects if, they're presented with the right project. So that's actually a really cool element of our community as well. We also have a resource repository where we have literally dozens of app building tools and things and services that you'll need to build an app. So we try to make it as comprehensive as possible and pull everything that you might need to build an app, regardless of whether you are coding it yourself or, outsourcing it or, exploring some other options as well. All of those options are pulled together so that people can build at any price point from anywhere. I want my program to ultimately be kind of a great equalizer, in particular for African Americans, because, we don't always have the capital to build a brick and mortar business. But, apps are a great opportunity where we can build something at a fraction of the cost of, an actual physical location and have that product be available to everyone in the world.
No, I love it. I love it. And I think you're 100% right. And I've been dropping the link in the chat. So if you want to know more about Amanda's company and her accelerator, please head to ihaveanappidea.net. That is ihaveanappidea.net. So that is already in the description of this YouTube video and also in the live chat. And that's where you can find out more about Amanda's company. And Amanda, before we get out of here, do you have any, last words of advice for people, non-tech founders or non-tech people who want to get into tech? What's your best piece of advice for them to get started?
Yeah, so I think three things. One, start taking inventory of your existing skill sets and how you can transfer those skills over to a tech company or into building a tech company. The second thing I would say is start networking. I think we have a bad habit, especially as African Americans, of just networking within each other. But if we want to be involved in the tech space, we're going to have to start networking with some people who don't look like us. And, I find more times than not that there is some racism and discrimination in the tech industry, but it's more so that people are just doing business with people who are just around them, right? And if you're not around these players in the space who are building the next unicorn startups, then you're not involved in that conversation. And so it starts with us kind of getting outside of our comfort zone and going to meetups and startup events and pitch competition, and even going into developer communities where we can start striking up these conversations with people. And then I would say, don't be afraid to start at the bottom. I think a lot of the people who probably make the best co-founders are at the top of their game in other industries, and it can feel somewhat remedial to kind of go back to the starting point where you are learning from scratch and learning a new industry as if you are a college kid again, or as if you're in high school. But remove your ego and remove your pride from it, and know that you're doing this for your betterment. You're doing this for the betterment of your family and for your economic advancement. And sometimes that involves just kind of putting your pride aside and just taking that bet on yourself. I hope with my program that we make it easy for people, that we make it comprehensive for people. And my hope and my goal is to not necessarily even be like the next unicorn founder, but possibly provide a framework and a roadmap of understanding for that person who might have that next $1 billion idea, but just simply does not know where to start. So I will be taking phone calls for anybody who is interested in the program. I know that people are like, oh, I don't know, should I sign up? I don't know if it's right for me. If you visit the website, there's a section where you can schedule a call on the homepage. If you just look in the main menu, schedule a call with me. I'm happy to talk and further discuss things with you and see if the program is for you. And after we schedule a call, I'm happy to send you more information. So you don't have to, no pressure to sign up. We are taking on people. We're actually having a Black Friday special. So I'm happy to share the code with you guys and chat with you further after the call.
Perfect, Amanda. And actually, to extend upon that, we're actually thinking about partnering with Amanda's company to offer a master lecture to you all in the near future. So if that's something that you may want, please go ahead and tell us in the comments, in the chat. Tell us that you want, some type of masterclass on, how to get started in tech as a non-technical co-founder, because We greatly listen to you guys. So the more feedback that you guys can give us in terms of, showing demand for a particular product, the more, I guess, incentive that we have to really push to make sure that's one of the first things that gets created. So if that's something that you want, please go ahead and tell us ASAP in the chat or in the comment section beneath this video if you're watching this at a later point in time. Also, because it's Black Friday, I decided to have 3 different interviews back to back to back. So today's first interview was this one right now with Amanda about getting started in tech as a non-technical co-founder. But then right after this, probably in about 5 to 7 minutes, I'll be on doing a follow-up interview with Walter Cotton and a special guest regarding government contracting. So he had an excellent interview that people really loved. And today we're bringing on a special guest who has actually done government contracting, has made a lot of money doing it. And it's a Black woman who is awesome. So hopefully I think she can still join us. But if not, me and Walter are going to have a great conversation regardless. But it's information you do not want to miss. And then the last thing, the last interview today for our Black Friday specials is one in commercial real estate with a real estate developer, very successful out of Detroit, Michigan, named Herb Strather. So we're going to be talking more about commercial real estate and also how to get into development, not just investing, but how do you become a developer, a real estate developer as well. So that's back to back to back. So you guys are with me on this channel for the next 3 hours. I guess 1 hour down and 2 more to go. So on behalf of Amanda Spann, one more thing, make sure you press the thumbs up button before you get out of here. The more love you show us, the more love YouTube algorithm shows us as well. So make sure you do that. So on behalf of Amanda Spann, my name is Lawrence Watkins. I'll see you guys in a few minutes, maybe like 5 minutes or so. You guys take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. All right, bye-bye.